It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's Rave TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
Hello.
Hello. Another
you?
Wednesday, another Rave TV. What's up, Gary?
Not bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
How you feeling? You got your shot today, didn't you?
Yeah, my arm really hurts. I got it on my right arm. And it hurt a lot more than my first two shots. Did yours hurt more?
Yeah, actually I got I didn't say sick, but I felt much more flu symptoms. The first two shots I had no flu symptoms, but the third shot I had the flu symptoms that lasted. They didn't kick in until the afternoon, like late afternoon. Yeah. So I have a feeling that tonight you might not feel that great. You might want to drink a lot of Gatorade and go to bed early.
Yeah, true. Well, I'm doing wedding makeup for Sarah, so I'm going to probably just be not feeling good practicing her wedding makeup on her. But
speaking of which, Sarah, everyone knows Sarah Abrams. She's getting married in a few weeks.
Yeah, she is.
A week and a half.
Yep. Yeah. And we're going to be there, and I am doing her wedding makeup for her. So she's coming over, and I'm gonna do a little practice run on her. So we'll see if I'm like feeling good or if I'm
practice putting on makeup.
Yeah, because you want it to look like it's her wedding. You know, I want her pictures to look the way she wants them to look. You know, so I want her to be happy with what I'm doing. I don't want to just end up doing it the day of and it not be what she wants. So I want to. Yeah, and I have a lot of anxiety as a person, so I just want to make sure that we have like a good run through beforehand.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So how did E4 go, Gary? It looked really great. I was watching.
I'll tell you, we were
virtually
very happy. As you know, we did our first E4 hybrid event yesterday, which our launch platform was designed to be a hybrid platform. That was our concept in the very beginning. We were excited to be able to actually do a hybrid show that everyone could see. And what that basically meant was instead of us just streaming the stuff as it was happening, we had moderators. We took the online audience to different places, and the in-person audience got to go. And of course, they could all network not only with the people online, but also with people who were there. And that worked out really well. We also kind of beta tested. We kind of did a soft launch of our video feature in networking. So now people inside of networking can video with each other, audio with each other, and text with each other.
Yeah,
you're going to hear more about that over the next couple of months, because that's going to turn into its own little offering for the industry as a way to kind of keep people connected. But we have some images, I think, to put up from what we were doing yesterday. I sent Madeline images earlier today, so maybe she can get those up a little bit later in the broadcast so you guys can see some behind the scenes stuff.
She's still in Dallas. She is still in Dallas on hotel Wi-Fi. So if she can't do it, it's not her fault.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. But if you haven't had a chance to see it, go to e4evolution.com. You can see what we did. But we did we didn't do a virtual event. We didn't do an online event. We had a live event, and we had that live event brought to you by Hybrid. And that included not just Rave, but also AV Nation and Rave working together to do something bigger than had ever been done before. And I think that we kind of set the standard now for putting on hybrid events. And as you know, Steph, we've had some big brands come after us about helping them with their events in 2022 to do hybrid stuff. So we're excited about where this is going to take us. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, the other thing in my keynote, we did the holographic projection technology.
That was so cool with and I got Art Media.
Yeah, live. So the guy who co-presented with me is a creative director over at Paramount Pictures, and we talked about Top Gun Maverick and when that's going to come out. We talked about the technology and how their offices have changed and how they've adapted to the situation with COVID, and they haven't gone back live. They've been for 20 months. He said they've been remote and they haven't gone back live yet in California. So it was interesting hearing from him because, I'm back in my office. You're in our studio. We've been back in our offices for over a year, but he talked about and gave some really good advice. He also validated a lot of things I had in my presentation, which was kind of cool. We didn't rehearse that either. He was like, what you said about setting up more interesting environments and play environments in the office. Yeah. And so if you didn't get a chance to see my keynote, it was all about sort of what integrators can do to expand their services and their products to help companies get people back into the office. Because I had suggested that not only do we start carrying furniture products, but also, mountain climbing walls and video game services and anything that you can do to get, coffee, providing services like coffee shops and being sort of like a full service office provider, not just a technology provider, not just an AV provider. And it went over pretty well. I got a lot of compliments on the ideas. And it certainly makes integrators think outside the box a little bit. So, so if you go to e4evolution.com, you can actually go back and watch that replayed. So, I was excited about it. Well, we've got tons of images on our, if you go to any of our social and look yesterday, you'll see tons of images of what happened.
Oh, yeah. And our assistant editor, Katie Clark, she also she did a write-up, which we screen shared earlier. So if you wanted to catch a write-up of the event, that is on Rave Pubs as well. She did a really good job on it. Is there an image in there
that you can show of the holographic stuff or not? Did she
I don't think so, because her screen grab was just from your
me
presentation.
Doing the presentation.
I'm trying to, let me scroll down and see. Oh, yeah, here you can
here's
see
one. There
from Kay
Sargent. Kay Sargent was presenting. Oh, there's an image right there. There's one of me presenting with Scott McPhail. That's thank you, Madeline.
Oh yeah,
that was
cool.
That's a holographic image, and of course, when you look at it taken with a iPhone, it's not going to come across as if you were there. There was no contrast issue. You could see him like it was actually there, but so I don't know how well it translates when you look at it on a photo. But yeah, it was really well. And what was cool, this was really cool. This has not happened to me before. I'm presenting. And, 2 minutes into my presentation, I unveil Scott and he beams in. And immediately a third of the audience steps up with their phones and starts taking pictures.
That is funny. So cool.
They all were like, whoa, this is kind of cool to see in person. So there was a lot of people taking pictures.
I have had my friends who are doing like virtual and hybrid events in other industries, like ask me for advice now. Because
you should tell them lavnch.com. That should be your advice.
Literally.
So what else we got going on in the news?
So let's talk about, we have a launch and learn coming up. Like, it's the end of the year. And of course we don't have, as many launch and learns as we had in say, October or September, but it's the end of the year. We still got events coming up, and we have Megan A. Dutta's series on, her Girl Boss launch and learns. And this one is on effective work communication in the workplace, which is something big. If you're anybody, but particularly, I think they're going to talk about, being a woman in the office. You typically apologize a little more than you should, just because we're kind of conditioned that way. And I think that they are going to talk about ways in which we can kind of rewire our brains to not have to apologize so much, and to instead take charge of our communication and communicate more effectively in that way instead of apologizing, questioning. So it's going to be a really good event. I recommend joining. Women,
her Girl
men,
Boss
everybody else.
Events have been very well received, even with the controversial name. I like the name. I'm glad we decided to use the name. There was that controversy around the name, but it's been embraced by even most of the people who were worried about the name, and some of them even been guests on her events. So, well,
yeah, sure. Let's talk about the name for a second, because Girl Boss, it's a name that has kind of had a different connotation throughout the past few years. It started out as being something that was very feminist and forward thinking, probably in about 2013. But since then, it's kind of changed. It's been memed on Twitter. And so I'm really glad that Megan and everyone that she's had on have been really, really clear about, hey, we are aware of all of the connotations of Girl Boss, and we are trying to kind of change the language and kind of also rewire our brains around thinking this way. Yes, it is Girl Boss, but it's not just for women. It's for everyone. So no matter how you identify, highly recommend joining, because it's great.
So I want to show you something, Steph. I got something in the mail this week. I want to show you something. So LeGrand sent me this box.
Oh yeah.
As you know, they're a sponsor of our of our amazing show here.
Yes.
And inside of it, a number of things I want to show you.
Okay,
first
show me
off,
the treats.
As you know, on the show, I said I needed one of these, and they literally just sent it to me. C2G has this great adapter that I can now travel with.
Oh,
that
lovely.
has a network port, but also has a USB-C. So it plugs in USB-C, breaks it out to HDMI, regular USB, USB-C, more regular USB, and it has
Oh, I
memory
love
card
that.
slots in it as well.
Oh,
And it
I
doesn't
love
require
that. I
external
want
power.
one of those.
Yeah, I love this. This is really
Yeah.
cool. And the other thing they sent me is finally a true 4K HDMI DA with EDID and HDCP. And this is a 1x4 DA, and it's CT. It's also part of the C2G line. And then they now have the C2G Performance Series cables, which are 18 gig
about those
HDMI cables, which means they do completely uncompressed 4K. So C2G is obviously trying to kind of make a big splash in the fact that they have these high resolution capabilities. But they sent me one more thing.
Ooh, another treat.
Actually, two more things. I haven't even actually opened this one yet. But check this out. This is the biggie that I really needed, because in my office at UNC, I'm using two cinema displays stacked on top of each other to output to my laptop with a camera in the middle. That way I'm able to look in the middle when I'm teaching UNC. So they sent me this, which is basically a I don't know, my camera's not going to do a good job.
Oh yeah, like hold it like slightly back.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's good.
It's a like a desktop port provider.
Okay.
And it has, you plug in one USB-C and it gives you three HDMI and two display ports from one USB-C, and only works, and this is specifically for the MacBook Pro. So that gives me the ability to have those two cinema displays connected up through DisplayPort, because they don't have HDMI. That's before
Very cool.
HDMI exists. Plus it gives me 4 USB-A connectors and wired Ethernet, all in one docking station, I guess you'd call it.
Very cool.
It's kind of like a docking station, I guess.
Yeah.
And it has an extra USB-C and a USB-A on the front, which I didn't notice until just now, and a headphone port and a microphone port. Check this out.
Well, they really thought of everything. Yeah.
C2G. This is, what's the model of this? This particular one's the C2G 54353.
Okay.
Or sorry, 54535. I don't know why I got that so wrong. So can I say something, Beth, to C2G? Beth, maybe y'all should come up with names too. Like the numbers is good, but maybe have a name for it, like the Doc 2, the Doc 7, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
One more thing.
What is that?
A new coffee cup.
Oh, lovely. They thought of everything.
Yeah, they did. And actually, this one actually was kind of cool. It comes with like a little ice thing inside of there, which I could keep in the freezer. But yeah, so that was kind of cool.
That's really nice. Yeah.
And, check it out. Check out the new stuff. I think C2G needs another look. I think, obviously, so it's not a bad thing with the supply chain issues, which we're going to talk to Mark Coxon about in just a minute. Supply chain issues that are affecting everyone, to have an alternative supplier for cables and connectors and adapters. It's not a bad idea, Steph.
Not a bad idea at all. So before we bring on Mark, I want to just talk about one more news story. You know how I love a little acquisition corner. Pexip acquired Skedify. Skedify is a Belgium-based software as a service customer engagement type company. But yeah, so it looks like Pexip is making their way up in the world. This is pretty big news in Europe. So it was definitely featured in our European newsletter, but just a big deal in general, because it just shows that these UCC companies, they're not here to play. They're here
making some money too.
They're
it's a good time to be in the UCC market.
Yeah.
Make some money. All right, let's bring on Mark. We've now known Mark for, 10 years now. He's been writing with us and working with us and doing stuff with us. Mark, how you doing?
I am awesome. How are you guys doing this morning?
Doing well. We need
well.
to get you a wireless headset. Or maybe you just don't believe in wireless though. That's how's it going out there in California? You guys allowed to do anything yet?
It's a tale of two states for the most part, right? I mean, I'm in Orange County, which is a lot more open. San Diego County is a lot more open. LA is a lot more restricted. And then depending on the business, they may follow kind of one set of rules or another. So I was at a manufacturer yesterday, and half their building was empty and dark, and everybody's still at home. And then I've been places where everybody's back to business as usual. So it really is split down the middle here.
Well,
you started a new position this past year, Mark. Tell us how that's been going.
That's been going really well. Yeah, I came over to HD Distributing earlier this year in April, and so really more focused on LED part of the market. But yeah, it's been a great fit for me.
Good.
And have you had like, are the LED companies telling you, hey, we're gonna have supply chain issues? Hey, you need to kind of keep pivoting, or like, are you worried about that at all? Because as LED's growing in popularity, you know, do you think it'll stop being available for a little while next year, or do you have any insight into that?
Well, I'll tell you that, lead times aren't getting any shorter. So, if the product isn't landed here, it's usually, 40 to 60 days to produce it if it's not already produced. And then after it's produced, another 45 days to get it here. So, you have at least that 90 to 120 day kind of cycle for anything that's not on the ground in the United States right now. That can be a huge problem. I mean, we kind of made a bet, honestly, at our company on the AV industry, and we have thousands of LED panels across all sorts of pixel pitches in Minnesota on the ground right now that we bought in April, May, June that are here now and reflect kind of like earlier in the year pricing. And, the other bad part about supply chain is that the container costs have went way up. So it used to, if you were bringing in a container of material, it was about $8,000-9,000 to get a container across the ocean. It's 35 to 40 now. So just that cost itself is huge. So anything that's landed in the already here is obviously a huge advantage to any integrator that's out there because they don't have to wait and they don't have to pay the extra shipping. So,
well, if you had to identify if you had to use one word to identify the biggest trend for 2021, what would it be?
The biggest trend for 2021?
Yeah, like what was the biggest thing that affected 2021, or was the biggest thing that you saw change or different in 2020 if you had to do it one word?
Stall.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, I saw end users stall projects. I saw integrators stalled out because they couldn't get equipment. 2021 was stall. I think there were a lot of people that wanted to get back to work, wanted to get projects done, and it just didn't happen for them. So,
well, Mark, you also talked about in your most recent blog that like it hasn't really been a year of like innovation. It's more been like a year of like iteration.
Yeah.
So like there hasn't been a ton of new technology. It's like a ton of people figuring out new ways or trying to just kind of change what's already on the market.
Yeah, it's always a little scary to me, and I think this year could be an anomaly because maybe because Infocom wasn't as big as it typically is. Maybe they didn't do their product releases and they're waiting for ISE. So maybe we are going to have this cycle of innovation here come January, February, and I'm very hopeful that maybe we'll see that then. But yeah, I mean when your press releases our new HD based T extender, which could be a press release from 2013. That's definitely showing that you're in a phase of iteration and not innovation for sure. I
mean, in defense of HD-based T, the newest ones are full 18 gig, which is, that's a pretty big deal. And so there's this new generation coming. But what do you think about 2022? Are you bullish? Are you a little concerned, a lot concerned, or you think it's going to be another stall year?
No, I think things will start to get back on track in 2022. I believe they will. I don't think it's going to be first quarter. I think it'll be, slightly towards the middle of the year that we'll see things get back on track. Businesses are having to make decisions now about what they want to do with real estate. And, if they are going to keep real estate, they're going to change it. So I think we'll see that. But then we may see an air bubble after that too. So I'm hopeful 2022 will be great. I don't know that 2023 we won't see a little gap again, as things shake out. But that's just me. I'm not an expert by any means in that, but I talk to a lot of integrators. I keep a good eye on products in the industry, and I think we're going to have a great 2022, and hopefully we can, I guess, shorten the air gap between the pause that's going to happen. Because I think as businesses, right now they have real estate, they want to redo it, they're going to do that, but for companies that aren't re-signing leases or moving and things like that, after that's done, there's not going to be work for a small amount of time. So
I think that probably by the end of 2022, all trade shows will be back, though. That's my prediction. I think that it's going to be about not about should we cancel this trade show, should we do this, but it'll be about how are we going to make trade shows survive among COVID? Because I don't think COVID's going to be over anytime soon. I think it's just going to have to be something that we live with.
Yeah.
And just have to just do our best to navigate around. But I think by the end of next year, trade shows will all be back. But it'll probably be like there will be heavy mask mandates and stuff. So don't think those are going away anytime soon.
No, I don't either. And I think, there was a guy, Alex Fortin, who's a AV Tweep on Twitter once, who had said, when are the unprecedented times just going to become the times? And I think that's where we're going to, right? Like we have to quit acting like we're living in an anomaly. And we have to say, okay, given this environment, how do we do business going forward? Not how do we bridge the gap? Because now we're living here and it's not going to change dramatically anytime soon. So how do we make the best of what we have? And I think that's, really where we need to be focusing our energy.
Yeah. It's like not the new normal anymore. It's just like life.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the old life in a lot of ways though, Steph. I kind of,
the old
like
life,
traveling without having to wear a mask all the time, but
but I will wear a mask every day of my life so that I don't get COVID. Like, it is a small price to pay to me.
Yeah. Well, Mark, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you popping in. And, we appreciate what you do. If you want to check out everything that Mark writes on our website, just go to ravepubs.com, click on the blog squad and click on his name, or just type Coxon, COXON, in the video, in the search window in the top of the page. They'll all just populate. He writes for us at least a couple times a month. And lots of content, but he also does some video and stuff for us as well when we're doing shows. But love having you part of Rave. Mark.
No, yeah, it's been a great journey. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. And Steph, we need to send our audience a message from our other sponsor, Shure. So check this out.
Things have changed. Conversations that used to happen around a table now take place on leading video conferencing platforms. What hasn't changed is the need for clarity in those conversations. Alongside key strategic partners, Shure is bringing the next generation of audio solutions to the workplace. Experience crystal clear audio solutions from Shure.
So this article on learning from the exercise industry is garnering some attention. Talk about that, Steph.
Yeah, it's so funny. So Scott Tyner wrote this past month. It was his second article. He also writes a few times a month for us. So he writes a lot from like the education side, but also the end user side. So his perspective is just like really interesting.
Yeah.
And he wrote about what the AV industry can learn from the exercise industry. So companies like Peloton, how they've been able to engage an audience virtually and how they pivoted very quickly during COVID, because that was already what they were made to do.
Right.
They were made so that you could do this from your house. So he was talking about how can we utilize this type of technology for trade shows? How can Avixa utilize this for Infocom? How can ISE utilize this? Or just how can AV utilize this type of technology in our everyday lives? Because for being an industry about technology, AV can be kind of sluggish to get with the times a little bit. And I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I feel like that's just how it is. But
I agree with you. I mean, think about how many, it's interesting how many big companies and associations have resisted doing online events or participating in online stuff because they're like, well, people don't like to do online stuff. But as Mark just said, that, when are we going to realize that this is just the new world that we live in? And those that have benefited big time. I mean, we've even had a lot of brands. Avacor is a good example of that. Sony's a good example of that, where they've said literally that the leads we're giving them are better than the leads they get at trade shows, meaning they don't get as many. You don't get thousands of leads. You get hundreds of leads, but the quality is better because somebody's taking the time out to actually attend that, not because they're already there at an event or not because they're just there for the CTS credits or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I think things are changing, and hopefully we can partner with more of these companies and help them with that. I think that's the key is, diversifying a little bit your offerings. It's sort of like what Peloton did. I'd love to see Peloton stock go back up though, but when they're fighting a battle with Lululemon and everybody else, they keep suing. It makes it hard for their stock to move very much.
Probably, yeah.
But, anyway, what else we got?
So the last thing today for our, case study of the week, this company ADI, they had an installation of MLA products in CDD Live 8 in this glass house in New York. It's very cool. It's very New York looking, the lights, all the windows. But it offers like this room or this building offers like 360-degree views, so you can look over like the Manhattan skyline and the Hudson River. So they needed some AV help to just make the inside exactly what they wanted it to be, and ADI helped them out. So it's just it's a very cool installation. I thought it was neat, very artsy. So take a look at it. All of the stories that we've talked about today are available in their entirety on ravepubs.com.
And of course, this is Rave TV, which comes to you every Wednesday at noon Eastern on all the different platforms. You could be watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or our website at ravepubs.com. Doesn't really matter. We're there everywhere. And I want to thank Madeline for struggling her way through this today. She's been working for 3 days straight with a sinus infection and who knows what else going on, because
I think just a sinus infection. I don't think it's anything else, but
well, I don't know. I mean, it's she's on little sleep, and I think she should turn her camera on. Don't you think, Steph, so we can say hello to her?
No, she's gonna kill you when she comes back here if you do that to her.
She just said to us she's in the hotel lobby. Leave her alone. All right, Steph, you have a great week.
All right, you too. Bye, Gary.
Bye.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's Rave TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.